Let's see what day it is today. Gears of War E-Day's early access starts! Let's go! Let's do this. Oh my god!
A few hours later.
Guess I won't be playing these anymore. Alright. You know what? The game was not that good. I got a bit carried away.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
What's up, you guys? My name is Uchi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and my review on the Gears of War E-Day beta. Over the week I got early access thanks to Game Pass, and I got to play it and get a feel of the game. And now I'm here with my full thoughts, ready to give you guys my review. So please stay tuned and let's get ready. Let's address the elephant in the room first. The new movement. So one thing I noticed about the new movement while playing the beta was that it requires a lot more skill. Previous Gears games like Gears 5 with the wall bouncing, there was no skill gap. You just picked up the controller and learned it right away. That is different in E-Day. In E-Day, you actually require a lot of time to learn a specific type of movement, like the sliding, for instance. You know, there's often times where I slid and I didn't time my shot correctly, and then I ended up getting chunked by some guy with a shotgun. So timing is important, how to do it, when to do it, all that stuff. So that matters in E-Day. And when I was getting a feel of the movement in the game, I noticed something really different than in the previous Gears games. And that's the momentum. The movement requires momentum. If you want to execute a slide, you have to be sprinting at first and then do a slide. You cannot just be walking, because that's just not how the game works. And I really like that because it's actually realistic. There were times where on maps like Outpost where I would try and slide underneath a crack in the wall, but I hadn't built enough momentum because I wasn't sprinting fast enough. And so I just ended up rolling into it. And you know, it can get frustrating, but you have to understand that E-Day is focused on the momentum of the movement rather than, you know, just doing it and rushing it. Another interesting thing that I found out is because of the new movement, you also have to be more spatially aware. Since now you're not just moving forward and backward or side to side. No, you're also looking up and looking down and jumping and climbing. So you have to be aware of who's above you, who's below you, and not just who's in front and who's behind you. So that's something really interesting. And I think it adds more layer to the gameplay. It requires the player to be more aware, and there's more dangers because of that. Oh, and one more thing I'd like to add is I really love how heavy the movement in this game is. It actually feels like you're controlling a gear. You know, the heaviness, and when you hit a wall, it's like you could feel it in the controller. And I think it just adds more realism to the game, and I think it's something we've long needed in Gears of War, especially after the train wreck that was Gears 5. You know, all the hyper bouncing and, you know, lightning fast movement really ruined the game and it ruined the immersion. So I think E-Day is a return to formula. Now onto the weapons. Let's start with the Lancer. So, about the Lancer, it definitely needs a buff. It's very, very, very weak. From up close and from far, it shoots like a dart gun. That's the best way to put it. You can't use this gun defensively like you used to in Gears 3. It's just super weak and useless. and sometimes I'll be shooting a guy from afar and I'm loading a whole entire clip in him and he hasn't even been down yet, which just really sucks, and I just hope they buff it in the future. I think they're actively doing that right now, which is a positive sign. And it's especially a problem when someone's rushing you with the Gnasher and you're just unloading a whole clip in them and just nothing happens and they're just still rushing you and boom, they get you. That's because the Lancer is just too weak in this game. It really needs a buff. I hope they do something about it in the future. The Gnasher's hit registration in this game is just terrible. I mean, from my experience, sometimes I'll be going up, sliding, shooting someone, and it at point blank range, and it just wouldn't even count it. I've had times from far even, it just doesn't register the shot. It happens sometimes, but again, it's a big issue because Gears of War has always been centered around the Gnasher in multiplayer. And if the Gnasher fails, then the whole game mode fails, and that's a big issue. So I think the Coalition should make it a priority to fix this issue. And again, it gets really annoying when you know you should have got the chunk, you know you should have just blasted the other player, but because your shotgun isn't working properly and there's a delay, you don't. Nothing comes out of the gun, and so they ended up chunking you instead. And that's just the most annoying thing. I know you guys might think I'm going too hard on the game, being too hard on the game, but that's the reality of it because it gets annoying and it's very unfair. Now finally, for some positives about the weapons, the Gut Puncher. Man, I really love this gun. It was so fun to use. It's such a unique concept for a grenade launcher in Gears of War. I think in the past we've only had the Pushka, which was sort of similar to it. But man, it's just so fun to use, just to like pop a few grenades and watch them bounce around and just blow up, which is really fun. So yeah, it's very fun to use and a very unique concept for a Gears of War game. The Incinerator as well. I think the Incinerator is really fun to use. However, it just requires a bit more skill to use. When I first picked it up, I remember in one of my games, tried using it and it absolutely failed at it. But again, it requires skill. So you have to time your shots and then just blast away. Just shoot your enemy down. Really fun to use, and I like the concept of an emulsion-based weapon. You know, it just really connects nicely back to the Gears of War lore. I really like that. Now, the controls I found to be very frustrating and uncomfortable at first, especially due to the fact that you had 3 different mechanics mapped to one button: sliding, rolling, and getting into cover, all being the A button. Was so annoying. Took me a long time to get used to. That's obvious because I am an OG Gears of War player and I'm just used to the old controls of the game, so that's expected. But again, it was annoying. You know, every time I went to slide, I would roll, and every time I went to roll, I would accidentally slide, and it just messed me up, especially in Gnasher battles. Every time I would go and try to slide and hit someone, I would instead roll and mess me up. Now, another element of the game that really bothered me was the health system. Yes, the Crimson Omen is back. It still shows up on your screen every time you get damaged. However, this time it takes like 5 to 10 seconds too long to heal, which is really annoying because, you know, if you're in a battle and you're getting shot at, you run away, you try to hide, and you try to regenerate, but it's too slow. So as soon as someone finds you, they take one shot at you, and that's it, you're down. And that's something that I really hated. I don't understand why they changed it. I think it's a very awkward change. I just want it to go back to the way it was in the OG series. Because of this change to the health system, it's a lot easier to down someone, to just focus fire on them and just bring them down. Because once again, the regeneration is very slow. I think it just slows down the game. It just makes it feel not very strategic. You can't just hide easily and hope to heal. It's a lot more complicated and it's just annoying. So overall, the Gears of War E-Day beta was an okay experience. I still think the game is kind of undercooked. It needs a lot of fixes and improvements here and there. But I hope TC looks to this video as feedback and releases a complete game that's satisfying and fun to play for all of us. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning into the channel once again. It really means a lot. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to tell me what you thought of the Gears of War E-Day beta. I'd love to hear it. And I hope TC really listens to our feedback and implements it so we have a fun game in the end, as we all want. So thanks. Peace out.